Sometimes when I think about how AI is shown in like movies and stuff, it's always like this, cold and calculating thing.
Yeah.
But what if I told you there was this one time when AI was playing Go, which is like one of the most complex games ever, right?
Yeah.
And it made this move, this totally weird move. And everyone, I mean, even like the best players in the world were just baffled.
Ah, you must be talking about move 37 from that AlphaGo match. You know, the one against Lee Sedol back in 2016. Man, that match really shook things up.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're diving into today. I've been going through all these articles and research papers, and let me tell you, it's pretty mind-blowing. What gets me is that Move 37 wasn't just about, the machine winning or whatever. It was about the machine doing something totally new, something even the best Go players had never even thought of.
That's what's so crazy about it. And the thing is, it's not like some isolated incident, Move 37. It's like a sign of something bigger happening in AI, especially with this thing called reinforcement learning. It's almost like AI is starting to get, well, creative.
Okay, so I got to be honest. I need a little help wrapping my head around all of this. Let's start with the basics then. What makes Go so hard for AI? Like, why is it such a challenge?
Well, it all comes down to the sheer number of possible moves. It's not like chess where you have a limited set of options. With Go, every time you put a stone down, the whole game changes and it just explodes the possibilities.
So it's not just about, like, figuring out the next couple of moves. It's about understanding what each move means for the whole game, right? Like the bigger picture?
Exactly. That's why for the longest time, a lot of experts thought that making an AI that could really master Go, well, it was pretty much impossible. And then, boom, AlphaGo comes along.
And it doesn't just master it. It makes this move that no one saw coming. Not even the people who've dedicated their lives to Go.
Oh, yeah. Move 37 was so out there that people watching, they actually thought AlphaGo had glitched or something. But you know what? It turned out to be pure genius. Like later, the experts, they figured out that a human player would only make that move like 1 in 10,000 times.
Yeah. 1 in 10,000. That's insane. How's that even possible? I mean, how can a machine be creative if it's just following, instructions and algorithms?
Well, that's where things get interesting. You see, AlphaGo isn't just about pre-programmed rules. It's about this really cool combo of different techniques.
Okay, break it down for me. What are these techniques?
One of the big ones is neural networks. They're like these webs of interconnected nodes that process information kind of like our brains do.
So it's like mimicking how we learn and make
Well,
decisions, right?
in a way, yeah. And these neural networks, they work together. So there's this thing called the policy network, which is like the brain's suggesting moves. It's like saying, hey, these are some good options. Then you have the value network, and that one tries to figure out how good a position is, like, are you winning, losing, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about the moves themselves, it's about knowing if you're actually in a good spot strategically.
Right. But then on top of that, there's the Monte Carlo tree search. This thing, it simulates tons of games, basically exploring all these different scenarios based on the different moves you could make. It's like looking into the future of the game.
Whoa, so AlphaGo isn't just reacting to what's right there on the board. It's running these simulations to see how things might play out way down the line.
Yeah, you got it. It's like having this built-in Go master constantly thinking ahead, analyzing all the possibilities. But even with all that, the big question is, how in the world did AlphaGo come up with Move 37? I mean, it was so radical, even the top Go players wouldn't even consider it.
I know. It's like, where did that creativity come from?
That, my friend, is where we get to the core of all this.
Yeah.
Reinforcement learning. You see, unlike those older AI systems that just learn from examples we give them, reinforcement learning, it's all about learning from experience.
So instead of being told exactly what to do, AlphaGo is learning by actually playing the game, making mistakes, and figuring things out on its own.
Exactly. Think of it like teaching a dog a new trick. With traditional AI, you'd be showing the dog each step. But with reinforcement learning, you just give the dog a treat when it does something right. Eventually, the dog figures out the trick just by trying things out.
So AlphaGo got good at Go by playing against itself, getting better and better, all without a human teacher showing it the ropes.
And because it wasn't stuck with just the stuff humans already knew, it could discover these moves and strategies we never even thought of.
And that's how it found Move 37, this crazy creative move that shocked the whole Go world.
That's it. And here's the kicker. This reinforcement learning, this creative thing it does, It's not just for games like Go. We're seeing it in other AI stuff too, like with those large language models, LLMs,
Mm.
the ones everyone's talking about.
Okay, now that's something I want to hear more about.
Hmm.
But before we get there, can you explain what you mean by emergent creativity? Like, what does that actually mean in this context?
It's a cool idea, right? You've got these complex AI systems like AlphaGo built on all these algorithms and data, but sometimes something totally unexpected happens.
Like they pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Exactly. The AI starts doing things, coming up with solutions that we, the people who built it, never planned for. It's like it gets this spark of creativity, thinking outside the box in ways that surprise even us.
So it's not just following our instructions or copying what we do. It's doing something genuinely new, something we wouldn't have thought of on our own.
That's emergent creativity in AI. And what's exciting is that we're seeing this pop up not just in games, but in other areas too, like in things involving language, like writing and stuff.
Oh, you got me hooked. Let's dive into the world of LLMs and see how this creativity thing is happening there.
Let's do it. These LLMs are already doing some pretty amazing things, and with reinforcement learning, who knows what they'll be able to do next.
So we talked about how AlphaGo uses that reinforcement learning thing to come up with these like totally unexpected strategies in Go. But you mentioned that we're seeing similar stuff happening with LLMs, those large language models that everyone's been talking about. How does that even work?
Yeah.
It's not like they're moving pieces on a board. They're dealing with words and ideas.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you really think about it. I mean, LLMs, they can already do some pretty impressive stuff, like write text, translate languages, even answer your questions, all that. But the thing is, it seems like they're not just spitting out stuff based on patterns they've seen. It's like they're starting to develop their own ways of solving problems. Some researchers are calling them cognitive strategies.
So they're not just parrots mimicking what they've learned. They're actually like thinking things through on a deeper level.
That's what it looks like. For example, one of those cognitive strategies they're talking about is this ability to approach a problem from different angles. Like they can reframe it or break it down into smaller chunks.
Oh, okay, I get that. Like, even for us, when we hit a wall, we try to look at the problem in a new way or
Mhm.
simplify it a bit. So, are you saying LLMs are doing something similar?
Exactly. And just like how we might backtrack if we're going down the wrong path, LLMs are showing they can do the same thing. If one way of thinking doesn't work, they can switch gears and try something else. They're even showing signs of using analogies and metaphors, borrowing ideas from one area to solve problems in another.
So, even though they're learning from all this data, they're not just blindly following patterns. It's like they're using what they've learned in a way that's almost, well, creative.
You're getting it. It's like AI is moving beyond just pattern recognition and into this whole other level of problem solving. And get this, a lot of these LLMs are now being fine-tuned with reinforcement learning.
Wait, are we talking about the same reinforcement learning that AlphaGo used for Move 37?
Hmm.
They're using that on these language models.
You bet. And if it helped AlphaGo pull off that crazy move in a game like Go, imagine what it could do for LLMs. These things are designed to work with language, with human thought. So if we give them reinforcement learning, who knows what kind of crazy solutions they might come up with.
This is, wow, it's a lot to take in. I mean, on the one hand, it's super exciting. AI that not only understands language, but can actually come up with new ideas, solve problems in unexpected ways, maybe even create art that's completely original.
Right. It's both exciting and a little scary at the same time.
It is. I mean, what if they start coming up with solutions that are just so out there that we can't even wrap our heads around them? Like, what if the solution seems brilliant, but we have no idea how it works or what the consequences might be?
That's a really important question, and it's one we definitely need to be thinking about. This whole idea of AI being able to make these Move 37 breakthroughs, it has so much potential, but there are definitely challenges that come with it. We got to think about safety, ethics, and making sure that AI is still working with our goals and values in mind.
Okay, so it's not just about making AI smarter. It's about making AI that's aligned with us. But before we get into all that, I'm curious about how weird these breakthroughs could actually get. I mean, we're talking about AI thinking outside the box, but just how far outside the box are we talking here?
That's a great question, and it brings us to this whole other level of weirdness when it comes to AI creativity. It's not just about coming up with solutions that are different from ours. It's about the possibility that AI could develop entirely new ways of thinking, new concepts, new ways of understanding things that our human brains just can't grasp.
Whoa, hold on. Now we're getting into some real science fiction territory.
Yeah.
But I gotta admit, this idea is both terrifying and kind of awesome at the same time.
It really is. Imagine AI inventing its own languages, languages perfectly suited for how it thinks.
Yeah.
And they're so efficient and powerful that we humans can't even begin to understand them.
So AI could be speaking this language that's beyond our comprehension, but maybe it lets them solve problems and make discoveries that we never could.
Exactly. It's like unlocking this whole new level of intelligence and creativity. But of course, that brings up some serious questions. If we can't understand how they're thinking, how can we control them? How do we make sure they're still working towards goals that are good for humanity?
It's definitely a lot to think about. This unbounded weirdness thing. It seems like it comes with a whole set of challenges that we need to figure out.
No doubt about it. As we explore this AI creativity thing further, we need to be aware of both the amazing potential and the risks that come with it.
So where do we go from here? How do we even begin to navigate this whole uncharted territory? Where should we be looking for these Move 37 moments? And how can we prepare ourselves for all the changes that are coming?
Well, one area that jumps out is scientific research. Imagine an AI that can go through massive amounts of data, finding patterns and connections that human scientists would miss. It could speed up discoveries in medicine, physics, climate science, everything.
So instead of scientists spending years and years poring over data, AI could help them zero in on the most promising research, maybe leading to breakthroughs that could change the world.
That's the idea. AI could become like this super-powered research assistant, helping us unlock the secrets of the universe and tackle some of our biggest problems.
It's like having this super intelligent research assistant that can analyze data, come up with hypotheses, and even design experiments.
Exactly. And it's not just a fantasy. We're already seeing AI being used to create hypotheses in fields like chemistry and drug development. It's only a matter of time before AI is making some truly game-changing contributions to science.
Okay, so science is definitely one place where we might see these Move 37 moments. But what about other fields? Where else could this AI creativity really shake things up?
Think about software development. Right now, we've got AI that can write code. But what if it could do more than just copy patterns? What if it could come up with totally new algorithms, new ways to design software, new approaches to problems that we haven't even thought of?
Man, that would be a game changer. Instead of programmers spending hours and hours debugging code, we could have AI creating software that's way more efficient, more powerful, and more capable than anything we've got now.
That's the potential here. Software that can learn from its own mistakes, adapt to new situations, even anticipate problems before they happen. AI could help us create software that's not just smart, but truly creative.
Okay, so we've got science, we've got software. But what about these really big, tough problems that we're facing as a species, like climate change, poverty, resource scarcity? Could AI help us figure those out too?
Now that's where things get really interesting, and maybe even a little bit unsettling. Imagine AI being put to work on something like climate change. It might come up with strategies that are so out there, so different from what we've considered, that they seem crazy at first.
Like what? Give me an example.
It's tough to say exactly what it might come up with, but it could involve these massive geoengineering projects or a total rethink of how we make and use energy. Solutions that might seem totally nuts to us, but could actually be the best way to deal with the problem.
I see what you mean about unsettling. I mean, it's exciting to think that AI could help us solve these huge problems that are facing humanity. But what if the solutions are so radical that they backfire? What if they create even more problems down the line?
You're right, that's a huge concern. As AI gets smarter and starts coming up with solutions that are beyond what we can understand, we need to find new ways of thinking about safety, ethics, and how we make sure AI is aligned with human values.
So again, it's not just about building smarter AI. It's about building AI that's on the same page as us, that gets our goals and values.
Exactly. And that's going to take a lot of careful thought, collaboration between different fields, and open discussion about the potential benefits and risks of this tech. We can't lose sight of the human element as we give AI more power to solve problems.
This is definitely giving me a lot to think about. It seems like we're stepping into a whole new world with AI, one where the possibilities are pretty much endless, but the stakes are higher than ever.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, let's talk about the practical side of things. We've talked about all the good stuff, but what about the potential downsides? What are some of the things that could go wrong with this Move 37 AI? So before we were talking about all the potential upsides and maybe some downsides too of AI that can pull off these crazy Move 37 solutions, the more we talk about it, the more it feels like we're on the verge of something huge.
I know, right? It's like we're on the edge of this massive shift. We've been discussing how AI, especially with that reinforcement learning, can come up with solutions that are so beyond anything we could imagine. Solutions that could, I don't know, revolutionize medicine, maybe unlock the secrets of the universe, even change how we design software.
Yeah, but we can't forget about the challenges that come with it. All that computing power you need, making sure the AI is safe, and figuring out how it even gets to those solutions in the first place. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It really is. And this is where you come in, dear listener. Why should you care about this Move 37 stuff and the future of AI? Well, AI is already having a big impact on your life, even if you don't see it. The algorithms that decide what pops up on your social media, the voice assistants on your phone, the spam filters keeping your inbox clean, that's all AI.
And as AI gets even smarter, as it gets better at this creative problem-solving thing, its influence is only going to grow. It's going to touch everything, how we work, how we learn, even how we connect with each other.
Exactly. We're about to go through a massive change, and it's not just some far off future with robots taking over or something. It's happening now. That's why it's so important to understand what's going on, to be part of the conversation about how we want AI to shape our world.
Yeah, it's not just a discussion for tech experts or politicians. It's something we all need to be thinking about. The future of AI. It's the future of humanity, really. So what can we do to get ready for this new era of Move 37 AI?
Well, a good first step is just paying attention. Stay informed about what's happening in the world of AI and think about how it might affect your own life, your job, your community. There's so much info out there, articles, podcasts, online courses. Dig in and learn.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. The more we ask, the more we understand. And the more we understand, the better we can navigate all the craziness of this new world that's coming.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and watch as AI changes everything. We have a responsibility to be involved, to make sure AI is used in a way that's ethical, responsible, and benefits everyone, not just a select few.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Move 37 and AI creativity, here's a final thought for you to ponder. Think about your own life, your work, what you're passionate about. Where do you see AI making the biggest impact? What excites you about all of this? What worries you?
Yeah, what opportunities do you see for AI to make a positive difference in the world? And what can you do, even small things, to make sure this incredible technology is used for good? These are the questions we all need to be thinking about as we head into this exciting but maybe a little uncertain future.
And with that, my friend, we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, interesting, and maybe even a little mind-blowing.
Remember, the most important thing is to stay curious, stay engaged, and be part of the conversation. The future of AI is in our hands.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.